Shout out to G-Man Boxing. Where's the piss bottle? It's over there.
Alright, John Ryder wins a 12-round split decision over Daniel Jacobs. Scorecards were 115-113 Daniel Jacobs, 115-114 to John Ryder, and the final judge 115-113 to John Ryder. He has had a lot of bad luck in his career. Personally, I felt he beat Callum Smith, and it wasn't just that he didn't get the decision, he was done a disservice when they gave it to Smith by wide margins. Having said that, this decision, I felt Jacobs, excuse me, done enough to win the fight. Now, it was a very fun fight to watch. It was intriguing. Early on, Danny Jacobs looked extreme. It was bizarre, actually, how he just faded. I'll talk about this now. Danny Jacobs early on, first couple of rounds, looked very sharp, was keeping it long range, was using his jab, was fighting out the orthodox stance, was landing right hands, following up with the jab, landing right hands, keeping John Ryder on the end of it. Now, Ryder, you could see what he was trying to do. He was trying to do what he did against Callum Smith, in which case he was able to get in under the shots of Callum Smith. I think in that fight he was using his jab a bit more to get inside, which he wasn't doing early on in this fight. And he was able to get Callum Smith up against the ropes and apply pressure, throw shots at him, and just outwork him. Now, Danny Jacobs, from my money, better long range. Although he's not as big as Callum Smith, he is better at long range. He was able to keep the distance a lot better, I should say. John Ryder, he was just going up in straight lines. There was no real head movement. There was no jab. I speak at this quite often. Excuse me. I speak this quite often when it regards like any fighters. If you're someone who's being controlled at long range with a jab and you're trying to get inside, just because he's controlling the range with a jab doesn't mean you should abandon yours. Because if you jab with him and you're trying to get inside, so if you're on the front foot and you're trying to get inside, having a jab just to help you get inside will help, because it will blind your opponent. It will give them something to think about as well. At long range, your jab might be inferior. You might not have the longer reach, but to help you get inside, it could pay dividends just to try and, double up on it sometimes. But Ryder wasn't really doing that. And Jacobs, for my money, was coasting through the first few rounds. Like, I think Gabe Rosado, who was scoring this fight for the zone, he gave Danny Jacobs all of the first 6 rounds. Now, I don't know why, but he scored the first round even. I don't know why he did that, but it wasn't an even round, in my opinion. It was a Jacobs round. And it was after the 6th round. Now, I don't know what happened to Danny Jacobs. I really don't, because he seemed to, I don't want to say gassed. To some extent, yeah, he did. But it was just like, it's like a lights went off in his head, not in a good way. And just everything just kind of left them. Because John Ryder was then able to apply the pressure successfully then, and he was outworking Danny Jacobs. He wasn't, I think the fans were, when Ryder was landing, some of the fans were really getting, up and animated and thinking Jacobs was hurt. I don't think he was ever really hurt, for my money, in the fight. He just seemed to, it's like he was gassed. It's like he had no energy left. I mean, a good example would be, I think it was the 8th round, where Danny Jacobs switched to southpaw. It was the 8th or 9th round, one or the other. He switched to southpaw. Now, Danny Jacobs can switch hit. He's not one of these fighters who, like Kid Galahad, just constantly does it for the sake of doing it. It wasn't working in the southpaw stance, and they should have immediately switched it back to orthodox. He stayed in it a round or two after. But he threw a 1-2. And it wasn't just that the left hand missed. It was like, when you're tired and you can't even extend it fully. That's kind of what it was like. And you had Danny Jacobs there whenever Ryder was up close on him. And his face was just, it just looked like someone who didn't know what was going on. And I just wonder, because bear in mind, it wasn't fought, this fight was not fought in the rounds Jacobs was winning at a frantic pace. So it's not like you could turn around and say, oh, well, he put in a serious shift in them first 6 rounds, hence the reason why maybe he gassed a bit. It wasn't really like that. I mean, Jacobs wasn't exactly, I'm sure punch stats weren't exactly, through the roof with what Jacobs was doing. Very strange to me, very strange. Ryder, though, once he got in control, Jacobs did mount a comeback in rounds 10 and 11. they're saying that, although in my opinion, yes, he did win them rounds. I had Jacobs winning this fight, by the way. I thought it was kind of an 8-4 kind of fight, 7-5. At the end of the day, like those first few rounds, I didn't really see any rounds in the early part he'd give to Ryder. Now moving on into the second half of the fight, yes, and those rounds that I gave to Danny Jacobs, the 10th, the 11th, make a case for Ryder winning some of them rounds as well, because Ryder was actually a lot more active in them rounds than he was in the rounds he was losing. And although Danny Jacobs was landing some good shots, although he was jabbing, he was kind of getting more of a handle on this fight. You know, he was getting a second wind. It wasn't like it was early on. You know, John Ryder had come into it then. You know, he'd really kind of found his mojo to an extent. And that's how he was able to make them rounds a lot more competitive, to give himself a share in them. At the end of the day, the scoring, this was a close fight. The scoring's subjective. I personally felt Jacobs won the fight. If you had John Ryder winning, I don't argue with that. It depends on what you like. It was just very bizarre how Jacobs was seemingly so in control, so sharp, and Ryder, you could see that what he was trying to do wasn't working. And in many ways, I was actually thinking to myself, after about 5 or 6 rounds, Ryder just go for broke and just go for broke. And that's kind of what he did. You know, he didn't go full blown, you know, try and go for a knockout. But once he did start to get a bit more reckless and really work at it a lot more, he was having a lot more success then, and was able to get the best win of John Ryder's career, definitely. Will they try and do a rematch? I mean, Danny Jacobs may feel a bit hard done by following on from this fight. So you never know, it might potentially. It was actually not a bad little card, this. I watched the whole card through. It wasn't a bad little card. In Ali Pali of all places as well, which I like the look of it. I like the look of Ali Pali for boxing. I'm used to seeing it in the darts end, but no, it was good. I think that like both guys can improve, definitely. Danny Jacobs was just so weird. Like, he was just so in control the first few rounds. It just dissipated. And he never really got that back. Even when he was having his good rounds, like say rounds 10, 11, it wasn't the same level of dominance as he had in the early rounds. Now, yeah, obviously, he wasn't as fresh. John Ryder was definitely coming along a lot stronger then. But it was just strange how he seemed to just capitulate so quickly, just out of the blue. It's bizarre. So that's my thoughts on it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I keep this short and sweet. Let me know your scorecard. Did you have Ryder? Did you have a draw? Did you have Jacobs? Let me know in the comment section. If you could, lads and lassies, smash the like button. I hope you enjoyed this video. Tomorrow is Sunday. We'll do some videos tomorrow. I will do a live as well. Get the old live going. As I haven't done anything. I've done hardly anything this week on the channel because I've just been sick. So we'll get back into the swing of things. For now, lads and lassies, I'll talk to you.